Hi, I'm Bill Portman, as Steve said. Dave Pittman is behind me. Steve Fairbanks has been heavily involved in our creation of West Central Illinois Braver Angels. Uh, we can work it out, and a red and blue sided story of people coming together to common ground. It's all a bit on the nose, isn't it, when you were choosing these things? But that's excellent. Okay, so what are we? I'm told there's a lag. Here we go. So, Braver Angels, bridging political differences and healing rifts through training and in person structured conversations. We can do this as a show of hands, but if you don't want to, how many of you have had heated political conversations before? Yeah, maybe they got a little angry, perhaps with a loved one or a friend. Yeah. How many of them have ended productively? Where you've understood one another better. Good, there's one. Good, good. We're hoping to ramp that up to 100%. That's part of our goal, is to make for more productive political conversations and perhaps heal rifts, as it says, with family and friends. Because unfortunately, we're in a time where increasingly politics and political conversations are seeping into more and more of our life. And so Braver Angels targets that polarization. That way we're kind of retreating into two different camps. Okay. Okay, just a little bit of history. It is a national organization, started in 2016. Steve, I think you started following it all the way back in 2016 when it started. It's now nationwide in all 50 states, and yes, international. I actually had the opportunity to meet the person that's running the chapter in Zurich recently, so it's overseas. It is member and volunteer driven. There is some professional staff, but we're all members and volunteers here locally for sure. It is cross partisan, so it invites every political side to be part of Braver Angels, and it's civic. The name is Braver Angels, but it is a civic organization. It's not affiliated with any church or religious movement specifically. Here locally, we did start back in January. We've had a variety of informational meetings, just like this one here. We've done those in Peoria, Morton, Chillicothe so far. We've got some coming up in Washington as well that we need to nail down. We've already done one Rotary in Peoria. We're going to be doing the other. So this would be my first time to ask you if you've got an organization that you'd like to bring this to, start thinking ahead. The name, Braver Angels, comes from Abraham Lincoln and his first inaugural address. We are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies. And then he implored people to listen to the better angels of their nature. The organization started off as Better Angels and then transitioned to Braver Angels to bring out a notion of it takes a lot of courage to reach across the divide. And I'll be talking more about courageous citizenship in just a moment. I don't know how much you need to hear about the problem of polarization and how it's been perhaps getting worse, but let's throw some statistics at it anyway. Partisan antipathy, very unfavorable, right? Each side, growing on each side over the last few years. This ends in 2022. I suspect now 2026, maybe that line has kept going in the same direction. It's creeping into our personal lives, as I mentioned. It used to be that people would not necessarily be unhappy if their children came home and planned to marry someone from the opposite political party. Less and less true now. And it's even creeping into dating. I don't know if you've ever seen stories about this, but people are choosing who to date based on their politics. It becomes like a deciding factor. Yeah, and this is where it takes, for me, and it's kind of one of my primary motivations for me personally, is it starts to take a really dark turn. More and more people are seeing the other side, whomever the other is to you, as evil. Once you've labeled the other as evil, where can you go from there? And, of course, violence. So more and more people, up to 30% in this one poll, think that we need political violence in order to solve our political problems. This is where Braver Angels comes in. I'll just say it's one of many organizations that are trying to do this depolarizing effort, that are trying to bring people back from maybe that brink. This is one approach, and this is what we're bringing to here. So Braver Angels, just the mission statement: we inspire and equip citizens to practice courageous citizenship. That's what I mentioned. It takes a lot of courage to cross those political lines and to start to listen to and understand the political other. Through skill building, convening, and collaborative action. I'll be talking more about each of these. The skill building are some workshops. In fact, 2 of the workshops are coming here over the next few weeks. And convening, bringing people with opposing political views together in a very structured way to keep the heat down so that they can begin to understand one another. And part of what Braver Angels does as well is it's seeking out the exhausted majority. So none of those statistics I showed you really were the majority. Many of us don't want to be in the space that we're in right now. So it's identifying those people and giving them the awareness and the tools to start to push back against the division and the rancor. Okay. Some keys to the particular Braver Angels approach. Red-blue balance. So red and blue, imperfect labels, but broadly speaking, reds are conservatives, blues are liberals. In everything that Braver Angels does, it looks for balance. It looks to bring together equal numbers of reds and blues. Admittedly, it's a struggle. Even at the national level, the organization is struggling to get more reds involved. Even so far as I was fortunate enough to go to the national conference a couple of weeks ago, and they were oversubscribed on blues and undersubscribed on reds, and they cut off the blues. And they said, the only way we can make this thing work, the only way we can have this national convention is by cutting off participation of lots and lots of blues that still wanted to come. I slipped in, don't know how. Another key to the approach is in person. Not always true. There's online. There are a variety of online workshops, but for us here, the idea is to get people looking one another in the eye. We just feel that is so critical. Skills and structure, I'll talk a little bit more about the skills building workshops. The structure, all of the events are structured in a very particular way with Braver Angels, as I mentioned, to keep the temperature down. For example, there's a kind of event called a debate, but it's not a debate that you've ever seen before. It's Braver Angels style debate. And the debates are not 2 people up at the front kind of going at one another. It's more of citizens standing up and expressing their views in a very particular way that you can get your point across without it blowing up. And this is key to Braver Angels' approach. The goal is not to persuade or to win. The goal instead is to communicate better, understand where the other person is coming from. Maybe you find common ground, like the squirrel in the mouse. And maybe at a certain point, you even welcome interaction with the other. That's the ultimate goal. So just to drive this point home, Braver Angels' approach, the goal is not to change views on issues. The goal is to change how you view one another. Okay. They do have a bit of a creed called the Braver Angels Way, stating our views freely and fairly, without fear, welcoming opportunities to engage, treating people who disagree with us with honesty and respect, seeking to disagree accurately, avoid exaggeration and stereotypes. I called that one out because that's a big part of one of the workshops that we're going to offer. We have stereotypes of the political other. And then often at times when you sit down with a member of that political other to you, you find they ain't that stereotype. So it's getting past those. Looking for common ground where it exists. We believe that all of us have blind spots and are worth talking to, and that we believe in disagreements both sides can share and learn. Those skills workshops that I was talking about. So we do have 2. These are happening here. So July 25th and August 15th. July 25th is Depolarizing Ourselves. A huge source of polarization that we see out there today is right here, right? How many times have you sat there and thought to yourself, what is wrong with those people? They think the same thing. So getting people together to sort through to what degree you're thinking about the other could be part of the problem. And then an additional dimension to that is to what degree the way you talk with the people that you agree with perhaps foments things, right? And then the next workshop, Skills for Disagreeing Better, how you can have those more productive, difficult conversations with people you would disagree with. So this is that skills component that I was talking about. We're going to have these 2 workshops coming up. This is something more with Braver Angels. Always expect breakout groups. I mentioned you're going to look someone eye to eye. So it ain't ever going to be like this, right? If I were doing it right now, you'd all be turning into your groups of 3 or 4, and you'd all be finding ways to look at one another. And there'd be a prompt, and you'd be talking through that prompt. As my compatriot Dave Pittman calls it, that's the juice, right? That's where this really starts to come together with the Braver Angels approach. All right, Steve has got a song to this, right? So, because you have a family member that you would like to bridge that difference with, and you wrote a song to that. I got to write that story down. All right, I'm writing. You've told me that one before, and I'm writing that down. So that's officially a stereotyping story. Good. I should point out, just back there's a guy kind of in the middle with a beard and glasses. That's our red chair. That is John Jacob. So we were very fortunate to have John come on board, because actually you cannot have an alliance, an official chapter. It's called an alliance. You can't have an official chapter unless you have that balanced leadership of blue and red. I'm a blue chair. Dave is purple. You can be in the middle. It's fine. And then we have our red chair. Let me give you another, it's not stereotyping exactly, but John found us. He says he just plopped down, and we were on TVP. We were on WTVP. We did an interview. It was great. And it's out there in the world. And John says he was just flipping around the channels and spotted it. And stopped and watched, became part of it, checked it out. He's been to the workshops. He's now our red chair. I call it luck. He calls it divine providence. I'm good with both. We'll go with both. Okay. So how do you get started? Please sign up. Please sign up to get our notifications about what we've got coming up. Certainly there are the workshops coming up here, and we'll have sign-ups in the back and some cards. If you do want to dive in and start exploring it some more, you can go again to the national website. They do have online workshops, online events there. I've had my fill of Zoom, but if you want to go and do that, that's there. That does require becoming a member of Braver Angels National, and I always make this same joke. It's a whopping 1,200 cents, so it will cost you that $12 to get in there. And they have e-courses as well. If you like what you hear, please spread the word. All right, and then I always like to finish with this. There's no real proof that he actually said this, but who cares? It's too good. We have to go with it. I do not like that man. I must get to know him better. So that really is what Braver Angels is all about. Here's our contact information if you'd like that. And thank you all so much for giving us the time. Thank you. Yeah, and we're doing